Webster, and welcome to my podcast, Trade Secrets. And I have to come up with a new phrase, like a positive expletive for how much someone means to me. And whatever that phrase would be, it would be about David Channing, like favorite person, smart person, better than everyone I ever met.
Oh, man, stop it.
But we've known each other for a minute,
Yeah.
and this is a pretty free form. It's kind of like we can do whatever we want, say whatever we want. It's my fucking podcast, so fuck you. But I started doing this because I think I might have mentioned to you that our dear friend Paula has a lot of photographs, and I'm going to be retiring probably next year. We're in Studio 2 at East West Studios right now, and it is December of 2025. And by September of next year, I'm probably going to retire. And I didn't have like much for posterity.
Right.
You know, and we look back on our careers. It's never been cool. Well, pre-phone, it's not cool now, by the way. But pre-phone, it wasn't cool to show up to the session with a camera
Oh, no.
and be like, hey, Rick Rubin,
No.
you know, let me stop you what you're doing and take this picture with me for my self-aggrandizement.
No, that's a way to get invited to leave the room.
That's what I'm saying. Anyway, but I realized that I wanted to have something. And I also wanted to sort of let people know, maybe people that are younger or getting into audio or pursuing whatever avenue in audio that they're pursuing, whether it's recording engineer or post-production or hopefully some techs out there, whatever it is, that there's no one way to end up in your perfect job. So I really only ask one question, and then I just sort of weave you back, which is, where were you born?
I was born in Port Huron, Michigan.
Are you a Youper?
I am a Youper.
Oh.
I moved from Port Huron's in the Lower Peninsula, but my parents moved to the Upper Peninsula when I was 1.
Those of you who don't know what that is, it's the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And what Point Huron is on
Lake Huron.
Huron. Yeah. Well, there you go. See, you know, we like to challenge the audience with these questions. But so I've only been, there was a place, I think I told you one time that my mom had friends that lived on Lake Superior.
Mm-hmm.
But then we went to some place called Coppertown or Copper
Harbor.
Copper Harbor. Is that?
Up at the end of Keweenaw Peninsula.
Is that?
Well, we're going to do like.
Is that near
Michigan
the UP or no?
Oh, it's in the UP.
Oh, it is. Okay, cool. I thought it was cool. They made me swim in freezing cold water in August, and she gave me a little pickaxe. I'm 13, swimming with a pickaxe. And I go out and I take a hack off of this big boulder that's out in the water, and I have a giant agate.
Yeah.
To this day, it's a beautiful thing. So these people happen to have been the minister and his wife at the Little Brown Church in the Vale, where my parents were there. My dad was their driver, and my mom was their maid when they were pregnant with my oldest brother. Fun facts. My parents. Yeah. But so you're born in the UP. What did your mom do? Or what did your dad do?
My father was a high school teacher.
Really?
He
Like
taught
what grade?
What they call industrial arts.
Shop? He was a
He
shop
was a shop
teacher?
Yeah. So
What?
drafting and blueprint reading at the time, they would build like scale model houses to teach people how to frame. And he also,
Dude, this is so
Carpentry.
lacking now. And I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they have programs like this in public school anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we had home ec, you had shop, you had auto shop
Yep.
a lot of times. But your dad and that early exposure to that type of technical expertise, engineering, whatever you want to call it,
yeah.
that sets a lot of people along the right road.
Well, for me, I grew up in a house in which,
Super nerds.
yeah, well, weekend comes, you get out the tools and you fix stuff or make things. That's just what you do. And so that was always just sort of, that's just the world I was in. So that's how I understood
Yeah.
it. So it made me a geek my whole life.
Yeah, well,
essentially.
we all were. I think then, too, I mean, my dad would have been older than your dad probably. He survived Normandy, my dad. My dad would have been 110 next year. But he ended up becoming an electrical engineer. I don't know if I ever told you that. But he was just a fucking genius, my dad. He ended up building the safety systems for nuclear missiles on nuclear submarines. Yeah, crazy good stuff. But your dad doing that, now was that, obviously it's high school, but was it one set grade or was it?
It's sort of, for the things he did, it was juniors and seniors.
Juniors and seniors. And mom, what did mom do?
Well, I have 4 sisters. There are 5 kids in the house.
Where do you
One
fall in
boy,
that pattern?
Second.
Dude.
Older
that makes
sister,
so much
3
sense,
younger
too.
sisters.
You're such a cool guy. Haven't had
right.
sisters. That makes a lot of sense.
And she was our mom until we were all sort of age. And then she was a music teacher at a Catholic school.
Oh, raised Catholic?
She was raised Catholic. I was raised Catholic.
Oh, okay. Well, that's. Are you okay?
Well, my dad was Jewish. Was. He's no longer here on earth.
Well, you know,
but
it's only what your mom is.
that's why my name is David. It's a good compromise.
Yeah, right. I have a brother named David. It means beloved, by the way. If you want to know what David means in the Bible or in Jewish or Hebrew,
Yeah.
it means beloved. So, second oldest,
Yep.
4 girls.
Yep.
Dude, girls torment.
Oh man.
Girls torment their brother.
This is long before.
Dude, hazing. People don't
No.
realize that
No.
females are cruel.
My sisters were wonderful.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
They were not normal
Maybe not.
girls? All I know is that I grew up with brothers, and I think it really shapes you, A, where you are in the family,
Yeah.
and the gender of your siblings. I think it makes a difference. I obviously am very comfortable in the company of men,
Yeah.
and you're obviously very comfortable in the company of women.
Well, I
Because
faked
you had
it.
nice women.
I can fake it.
Yeah, you had nice women.
Yeah.
You're a Virgo too, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Nice. I knew that. This also, okay, this is my podcast, okay? But if you're watching this
Clearly.
or listening to you're listening to this, it's really about me. But if you're listening to this, my mom was an astrologer, so I never put much credence in it because, David's a really smart, practical, scientific kind of guy. So we probably don't really believe that much about those kinds of things, but I have noticed that there are some definite traits that do fit the signs. I'm just going to
yeah.
say. Both my parents were Virgo, very anal,
Yeah.
self-critical, not critical of me,
Yeah.
and very lovely, but self-critical and holding yourself to a high standard, which could everyone in the world just take that on? Could everyone in the world hold themselves to a higher standard? Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be nice.
Elementary school. Did you have music program in elementary
There
school?
was, yeah. There was a gentleman. His name was Mr. Knops, and he taught all the grades. And in our there was a big room, sort of an assembly room, that the first graders would come up, and then the fourth graders, and then the third graders. And so you would be in that room, and you'd have the sticks and the things to hit, and bells and tambourines, and all the
Mainly-
songbooks that would be passed out, and you'd sing, and he'd accompany. And
Oh, like chorus. Yeah, did they have? A lot of people have told this story where like instruments were donated to the school, and the teacher just said, "Okay, run over there and grab the first thing that you think of."
There was some of that.
Did you play an instrument as a kid?
at the time, no.
Yeah, me
well,
neither.
there was always a piano in the house, so you're
Same.
making noise on the piano as soon as you can reach the keys.
But your mom was probably pretty decent pianist.
Yeah, I mean, the sort that you can accompany when a choir needs to be accompanied and that sort of thing, which is about the level that I rose to. I never studied keyboards, but
We'll talk about you working with a phenomenally talented keyboard player later.
Yes.
But it's interesting. I grew up with a piano, and my brothers were all musicians, and I was a jock. I played soccer.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was a jock. I was kind of nerdy, but I like sports.
Yeah.
I wasn't good at them. I just liked them. I ended up playing lacrosse, which I actually really loved, but lacrosse is hard. But so you got cold winters.
Yes.
But you also you and I were really blessed. I think, I'm just assuming, that we grew up at a time where you could leave in the morning on your bike
Yep.
and come back at dusk.
You were told to leave.
Get the heck out of here. Go play in the
the
traffic. There was no traffic, by the way.
Yeah.
It was go play in the woods or
Yeah.
go play by the stream.
Oh,
or,
I mean, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan was like
gorgeous.
I was in Mayberry. It's like,
Dude, totally.
Whatever mother was on a porch.
Oh yeah, they all got
David,
their
what
eye
are
on
you
you.
doing?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Same with my neighborhood. One time, the lady, the neighbor, Mrs. O'Shaughnessy next door, she came and knocked on the door around Christmas time, and I was like 6. And she goes, "Candace, what are you doing?" I'm like, "We just found all the Christmas presents and we unwrapped everything and re-wrapped it." I totally busted my brothers like a dumbass. And yeah, she told my mom, Mrs. O'Shaughnessy. Yeah, she was kind of like the Gladys or whatever that lady's name is on Bewitched, who's always looking out the window, like,
Right.
what's going on over there?
Right.
The snitch. But yeah, it was like that. You had your dog, you had your bike.
Yep.
You went off and you played. And you got along with your sisters, but and your sisters are probably. Was there any tomboys in the crew? Girls that would like help you pick up tadpoles and catch frogs and spiders.
I wouldn't say they were tomboys. my sister Julie, who's a year younger than I, she would, she was sort of my main playmate for
Yeah,
a while.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
she
yeah.
was the one that we'd be poking at tadpoles with sticks
Yeah.
and doing that kind of stuff. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't say she was a tomboy.
Yeah, my brother David, who's 5 years older than me, and I love him so much. I was the fucked up like risk taker. Like he was like pretty like, oh, I don't think we should do that, and I'm like, yeah, we should totally do it. Like, and then my parents never knew this. They always thought that I was this good little kid, and I'd be like, yeah, we should light it on fire,
Yeah.
and he'd be like, no, Dad, we shouldn't do that, and I'd be like, oh, totally, we should
You were
totally
the
do that.
troublemaker.
Yeah, I was a total troublemaker because my parents were so burned out by the time I came along. Like I don't think they signed a report card after like third or fourth grade. I made good grades, but I don't think they even looked at it. They were like, yeah, whatever,
Right.
it's fine.
Right.
But we grew up in South Carolina, as you know. I grew up in Charleston on this island called James Island, and where you grew up, did you have big ditches on the side of the road for
Oh, yeah.
drainage?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any place that it rains or
Yeah.
has snowfall, any city with any type of infrastructure and planning in a suburb has ditches so that it doesn't flood. Anyway, let's just put that in the civil planning for the city. But I would convince David to like crawl through like this drain pipe. I live right by a fork of two rivers that went out to the open ocean, and we lived in this area it was called the Wapu Creek that the Army Corps of Engineers had carved out between these two rivers and the Charleston Harbor so that barges could go through for the intra-coastal waterway. And I would convince David to climb through these like fucking giant like storm pipes, like these giant ditches and pipes. And dude, it was fun. Dude, I mean, did you have snakes or was it too cold?
There were some snakes occasionally in the summer, but not the thing you're talking about. It
Yeah,
was
we
too
had
cold.
some. We had some.
Like
yeah.
garter snakes,
Yeah, I know. We had like the gnarly shit.
the real ones.
But I think that this experience of growing up in a place with natural beauty,
Yeah.
that's pretty safe,
Yeah.
probably very safe.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think
Well, and
I wish that for more kids.
The other thing that you said earlier, that the short days in the wintertime,
Oh God.
once I started playing the guitar, you get home from school at 4 in the afternoon,
dark.
and it's dark.
Yeah.
You get a lot done in the wintertime.
Were you moody and morose or just quiet and shy?
Depends who you ask. I suppose.
But yeah, that's right. You're a guitar player.
Yeah.
Probably a pretty good one.
Well, yeah,
You're good.
Yeah, and that's the thing about that is you
That and a
come
dollar.
to Los Angeles,
Yeah.
and the guitar player on the first session you do is Dean Parks.
Oh yeah, and you're like, okay.
you
fuck
know
it.
which side of the glass you're
Yeah,
supposed
you're
to be
like,
on.
okay. Yeah. So that town, Point Huron?
Iron Mountain, moved to
Iron Mountain,
Michigan.
Oh, okay. Did you stay there? So elementary school.
Oh,
was there middle school? Or just
kindergarten through senior in high school.
senior in high school. So in your senior year of high school,
Yeah.
what's mom and dad's names?
My dad was Jack Channing, and my mother Lila.
Oh, that's a pretty name.
Yeah.
Lila. That's a beautiful name. Encouraging, loving, wonderful parents, regular middle class folks,
Yeah.
hardworking, nice people. Was there any pressure to go to college? Was that a thing? Probably not a lot of money.
No, I wouldn't call it pressure. I'm one of those annoying people that gets really good grades without trying, and so
Me
it was just
too.
assumed.
Dude, high school was so easy.
Yeah,
Yeah, college was a little challenging. but
it's
yeah.
part of the geeky part of me. So
I'm pretty geeky too. Don't tell anybody.
okay.
But had you found, besides playing guitar, was there anything that interested you that 17-year-old David, 18-year-old
Oh my gosh,
David?
there's the dry cell batteries and wires and bells and switches, and then it turns into Radio Shack comes along and you can learn about
Did
op
you build an electric chair?
No. But sort of electronic hobby things and just
Heathkit. Was that the name
yeah,
of
that
it?
was the thing. Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that was tied to the Heathkit thing. Was I've got an acoustic guitar. If I put a pickup in it, I need an amp, and I can't buy an amp because they don't have them. And this is
Yeah.
music stores. They had clarinets and things, but not that.
Yeah.
So maybe I could build one. And so,
It was the Montgomery Ward's mail order
yeah,
thing, right?
yeah, and that's
Monkey Wards,
You
we
put
called
together
it.
a band with your friends. This was very much the zeitgeist.
Oh yeah. So
of-
did you have a band in high school?
Oh my gosh, junior high.
Wow.
My
okay.
first paid gig, I was 11.
Oh my God, I love this. I can't believe I almost skipped over this. So what was the name of the band?
Oh God, I can't remember. It's
David Channing and the
I
Bozos?
was thinking about this as I was driving in. There's a common story of the people just before me that they saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. I was 7, so that would have been after my bedtime or whatever.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a thing. But very much the zeitgeist immediately after that.
Are you like a year older than me, year and a half? I'm going to be 67.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so guitar music, radio was changing. Where I lived, late at night, I could get WLS out of Chicago and I could hear this great music which wasn't playing in my little town. And it
Probably
just,
a lot of blues if it's a Chicago
R&B,
station.
blues, all of that stuff.
Did your parents play records? Did they have a hi-fi?
Yeah, but it was, Perry Como.
Right. Oh, God.
And they didn't have a lot of money, so there was a handful of records. But surprisingly, one of the records was Miles Davis Kind of Blue. So
Fucking nice.
you know.
Thank you, Mom and Dad. So the band, so first paid gig is
No,
11.
but so in that time, because of the Beatles and that influence culturally, well, I had friends and somebody else.
Wait, you had friends?
Yeah, I know, shocking. But see, I got a set of drums for Christmas. And
This is like Paula wanting a piano and they gave her a sewing machine.
So in this little.
But wait, you're a guitar player and they give you drums?
Well.
Was there confusion?
No, not like my friend Craig had drums and
Oh.
my friend Jim, they got him an electric guitar and a little amplifier. And because that's just what happened. And so, well, hey, let's get together and play. So it's wintertime, dark, you get together in the basement and annoy some Craig's parents upstairs playing like Born to Be Wild or something until they say
Dude.
turn down.
I remember the record. I got it in 4th grade. It came out in like 68 or 69, but I didn't get it until later. And it has the picture of the wolf on the cover.
Yeah.
Steppenwolf.
Yep.
What's his name? John Kay?
Yeah.
The singer?
Yep.
Dude, what a badass. And by the way, someone told me that the term heavy metal was coined from in Born to Be Wild
Born to
when
Be
he
Wild.
says heavy metal thunder. I didn't even know that.
Looking for adventure.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, dude, this is good stuff, by the way. We had in my opinion, the music from, I could go back maybe 49, but
Yeah.
I'm going to say 59 to 79.
Yeah.
Just the goodest.
Yeah.
And the radio station, you remember the name of the radio station? I remember WTMA. I'll tell you a story probably off camera about me and transistor radio. But yeah, another story. But so you've got a guitar, but now you got a drum kit? So I'm confused.
No, my friend had drums.
So he got
band
drums.
forms just because, you've got drums and I've got this and you've
Right.
got that, so you just get together
Did
and
you play like, we had the teen canteen. We had like little gathering
there were
places.
things like
Usually
that.
church related, but we weren't particularly religious. I'm
Well,
Episcopalian, but
my mother had a youth choir that, of course, I was dragooned into playing guitar for. And so I'm not complaining about that because it's a lot. You're accompanying. You learn to play acoustic so that you can be heard and you keep time. And it's all important stuff for band.
yeah,
time.
very.
And I sang. I was never a singer. See, the thing, if you're trying to put together a band where I was, all you had to do is be a better singer than the other guys in the band.
Who were terrible.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you're the singer.
I love it.
Yeah.
But so when you were, so high school, were you gigging regular?
Toward the end of it, yes.
Did you do like go to the nearest town? Another
Oh my
town?
gosh. Well, Niagara, Wisconsin was just across the border into Iron Mountain's right on the Wisconsin-Michigan border.
Wait a minute. Niagara? There's another Niagara?
Yeah. And there were a couple guys there who they needed somebody who could sing, and I also played bass. And so a really good guitar player, Rick Wagner, was in that band. And so I got that. They enlisted me from all the stuff I was doing. And so
You became the bass player.
I was playing a lot more gigs in this other town than in my own hometown.
Oh, okay.
And
Did
then
you
that
become-
sort of changed. That band was then hired for some stuff that were high school related things. And suddenly, hey, wait, isn't that Channing?
Oh, the other reason that everybody plays guitar or bass is to get girls.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
No.
No, that never worked.
I bet it did. You just didn't. You're the guy who just didn't notice. The girls were probably digging on it. You're not the first person who. A lot of people that I talked to on the show. Interesting. Joe Ciccarelli was a guitar player.
Yeah.
So a lot of people talk about playing guitar, and a lot of guitar players switch to bass. Duff McKagan, case in point, in Guns N' Roses, a great guitar player who became a great bass player.
Yeah, and that was just for that one band, and then it's back to guitar in the next band I was in, and ever since. But basically,
What's the first band name you remember?
Oh my gosh, It's too embarrassing.
No, I want to hear it. That's the whole point of this, is to humiliate you, embarrass you. That's the whole point of the podcast. No, I'm kidding.
There was a band called Squillery. That was an interesting thing.
Squillery?
Yeah.
And does that word have meaning?
No.
I felt for a second like I feel like I have a pretty good vocabulary, and I don't know what squillery means.
No,
I must be
mean
failing.
And we were sort of casting around to try to find a name for the band, which is impossible.
Squirrely.
And the drummer wrote down on, I think, Quillery, and then somebody else had doodled a snake, and then another guy picked it up and said, "What the hell is Squillery?" And
Oh my God! Did you?
Oh,
have
we got to use that.
Did you have
It's
like
terrible.
a snake logo?
No, God, no. We weren't that cool.
So you're playing in Niagara, you're playing around town,
Yep.
you're forging these friendships. People don't realize the important social. I feel sorry for people that are homeschooled,
Yeah.
because the socialization that occurs in junior high and high school,
Yeah.
and college, obviously, is key to getting along in this world. I feel sorry for
and there's
people that-
another
go
aspect
ahead.
of that at this time that I've thought about this, that you don't know better, so you're just, hey, well, we've got to get to this gig in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, and so you learn how to read maps, and this is way before internet
No
and cell
Thomas
phones.
Guide or anything, yeah.
And so you're learning to coordinate. You're 17.
You're a road manager.
You're learning to road manage and be
Yeah.
responsible in the contract and when you're supposed to be there and the point of contact and the routing of gigs and all these things. You don't even know you're doing it. You're just doing it out of self-defense.
Were you a partier?
No.
I wish I could say I was not, but I was.
No, and I was just never interested, and I'm just not good at it.
No?
No.
No drugs? No drugs for Dave?
Reality is weird enough for me.
Dude, that's it's the fucking truth right there. I guess I experimented with drugs. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
No, it's kind of being the second oldest, your big brother, even to your oldest sister.
Oh,
in
yeah.
some ways. So it's
Yeah.
the designated driver role, which
Yeah.
ends up why you're on the other side of the glass.
I had brothers, and everyone I was always like, were they, kicking guys' butts that were trying to date you? I'm like, no,
Yeah.
dude, they were all doing acid fucking in their own world, and they were 10 years older, and God bless you, I love my brothers. And they certainly would be protective, but they
Yeah.
didn't get involved.
Yeah.
They didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, again, back to the beauty of being unmonitored.
Mm.
Ride your bike, go hang out. Oh, man, there's a bear,
Yeah, and there's the
Oh,
freedom.
there's a deer.
There's the freedom there too. Both of those things. You can
Yeah.
you can go and do crazy, stupid stuff, or you're
You could be a
pushed
normal,
out to figure out how to
mature-
navigate
Yeah.
the world on your own.
Yeah, you could be. I say this about myself, but I was actually a pretty responsible
Yeah,
kid.
of course.
And you.
You don't end up here doing this, were you not?
Oh well, yeah, hopefully, but college.
Yeah.
What was young Dave? Were you thinking you were going to be
I had no
John
idea.
Kay?
No.
John Lennon?
No, I
Somebody named John?
I went to Michigan Tech and studied electrical engineering.
Yeah.
And after that, got a degree in music because I was always playing the whole time. And it was, once music gets,
Oh,
there's
it's
a
in
thing.
you.
It's in you.
Yeah.
And because there's this, what you're supposed to do, you get good grades.
It's the B.
Doctor, lawyer,
You have to have the
Indian
B plan, the fallback.
Yeah.
Career choice of electrical engineering.
Yeah.
But you really love music. But wait, music degree.
Yeah, but that's the thing that you keep a secret if you're here. 'Cause people think you're educated beyond your ability to groove or something.
Yeah. So, what school was that?
Northern Michigan University.
Oh, okay. Northern Michigan University.
Mhm.
By the way, it's fucking cold up there.
Yes, it is.
And I have friends from Minnesota, Wisconsin, that part of the world. And you move here, and within a year, if it's below 60 degrees, you're cold.
Yeah.
All my friends are like Minnesota. I'm like, you're from Minnesota.
I miss the seasons, but then I think, gee,
It's 70. It's gonna be 75 today
Yeah.
here. My brother just texted me this morning. He's back in Charleston, and Charleston has this 4 seasons. People think it's really hot in the summer, and yes, it is hot for about a month, but
Yeah.
very distinct seasons. And we are now in the season that's called winter, even though winter doesn't technically start until December 21st.
Right.
It gets quite cold there, and I remember it last year. I think it snowed 5 inches. It snowed 9 inches in New Orleans last year. This is climate change, both exacerbated by man and a natural cycle of our planet, the Earth. Anyway, that's the most scientific we're going to get today. Well, until David talks about it.
oh my gosh.
But college, you aced it. Did you get out early?
Get out
Like-
early.
Like, did you finish in 3 years, or was it?
Yeah,
Was
I
it?
did the music degree in 3 years.
Yeah. Was bachelor?
Yeah, I had to get They taught history in sequence, like this semester and then this semester and this, and I had to get them to, well, can I take these two at the same time? And they're like, well, I said, it doesn't matter if I learn it in order, and when it's done, I'll know it. So that sort of thing.
Yeah, I do remember being.
And there's a thing also when you're studying music. There's sight singing and ear training, the ability to read something on sight, make the noises, the musical noises,
Keith can do
and the
that.
reverse of it, to hear something and write it down. And if you've spent a decade already learning songs, needle drop, learn the thing, find the stuff, you develop your ear.
Yeah.
The professor took me aside and said, "Don't come to class because you're slowing
You're
down
already
the other
ahead.
people. Just
Yeah.
I'll let you know when the tests are." And so that's not a brag. It's just sort of that realization
It's
that,
actually a credit to your teacher, to be honest.
well, that idea of if you're in music and learning, whether you know it, the theory or not, and you're internalizing it and learning your own language and then applying the real language to it later, you're way ahead of the game because now you can communicate to people about what it is, or you can hear what they're doing and translate it instantly.
So not only is he a talented musician and a road manager, now he's a producer.
Yeah. Well, it leads to that. You end up on the production side of stuff because you're curious, and you see how the pieces and how you want to. There's a little bit of ego there, how you think it should be put together, but
That's
it's
all
also
right.
but I know some stuff.
If you have good ideas, it's a good thing.
Yeah, and yes, and it's also I want to try these things that I know. And how would we do this? And yeah, it's.
You know
I end
what-
up always on the production side of things for that reason because there's a feeling of. That's where the magic happens. It's that collaboration of people and seeing all the pieces.
Dude,
and,
absolutely. We
you
were
know.
talking, you and I, about, I'm in this great studio and
Yeah.
I'm so privileged to be here. One day places like this will be gone and people will never really know the enhancement that the acoustic space as an instrument lends to your music,
Oh, yeah.
but they also won't understand the collaboration that naturally occurs between musicians
Yep.
working together on a session, just looking at each other and playing with each other, but also the happy accidents that happen
Yep.
when you walk down the hallway and meet, say a hip hop guy meets a cellist.
Yep.
And just this natural organic thing that happens because musicians, one of the things that's really wonderful about musicians, I think Frank Sinatra kind of embodied this. There is no color, there is no bias, gender, color, race, any of that stuff. If you're a good musician
Yeah.
around other musicians, they're going to respect you.
Yeah.
And there is a childlike innocence to me that happens when musicians are in a room together
Yeah.
and they start experimenting and messing around.
And that's
It's a great, great, joyous thing.
most humans, anybody who likes music, you hear it from the outside, whether you're just an audience member or someone who does it, and you're drawn to it. And the thing about being in a room like this, when the magic's happening, it can be because there are brilliant and talented and visionary people, and it's exciting to see that. Or it can be you're in a room and
Goofballs.
it's all of these things where you don't know what's going to happen, and something magical happens, and someone in the room has the genius to recognize that it's magic. That doesn't happen, and I don't want to disparage. I sit at a computer and
Great
work
home
by
studios,
myself
yeah.
now. But if you're at a computer with your mouse or your trackball in your hand, it's you're playing Tetris.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
yeah. And
it's
you're
not this-
isolated. too.
And you're isolated.
Yeah.
And there's great music that can be made that way. But to be in the room when the magic can happen in these rooms are like the cauldrons where the magic can happen.
You know who's
And
going to be in here tomorrow?
No, who's that?
Vinny Caliuta.
Oh man,
Yeah.
love that man.
I know, I love him. He's a great drummer. We're in kind of a sweet drum room. We're actually sitting in the drum spot, actually.
Yeah, this is the spot right here. About 6-8 feet out from the wall.
When did you, now you've been playing around regionally and just kind of,
Yeah.
doing your thing, and you went to college. When did you leave Michigan?
Right after I graduated, got my degree in music, went to Colorado.
Why Colorado?
I had a friend who was, they were invited to be at the Aspen Music Festival, and they didn't want to
fun.
drive by themselves.
Oh,
So I volunteered. I didn't know what I was going to do. Volunteered to drive. Got to Boulder on a Tuesday night at about 10 o'clock,
and loved it.
and it was gorgeous. And I
Yeah.
thought, is there a music scene here? Oh, yeah. I said, well, it's as good a place as any.
You know what's interesting too? The transition of leaving home wasn't particularly traumatic for me. And like I talk to people and they're like, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, I got out of high school early. My father had passed. My mom was awesome, but I was going to I went to the College of Charleston, and my mom, when in our household, when you hit a certain age, you had to contribute.
Right.
and we always had jobs. You probably had jobs in high school. You were making money with your band, doing whatever. And my mom was going to charge me $125, and I found an apartment. I mean, it was a closet, but it was an apartment right by the school where I could walk to school, and it was $135, all utilities included. So it was sort of like, hey, Mom, thanks, love you, but you're 12 miles away from school, and I had a car, but I'm going to, and I had a couple jobs in downtown Charleston, so I'm going to live in this area where I can walk to everything.
Right.
So, and it was just a natural transition, and I grew up surfing, not great, but learning how to surf, and so that was another motivator, was that I would travel to destinations where I could surf. Again, I sucked, but I loved it.
Yeah.
And I would do that. But, I grew up in the warm version. And, it's interesting because my parents, my brother was born in Angola, Indiana. Then Steve was born in Albuquerque. My dad traveled a lot. He went to school for electrical engineering. He survived Normandy, came back to actually California, met my mom, and bam, get married, have kids, and she had a small inheritance and sent him to electrical engineering school. Yeah, in Indiana, but it's called Tri-State College.
Yes.
But my father was a smart guy. But so your electrical engineering degree, when you get to Colorado, are you looking for a job?
Yeah, just to pay the
from
rent.
that to pay rent?
I was looking to see what there was,
Yeah.
and
A lot going on in Colorado. I mean, you didn't work at NORAD. But
no, actually, the first job I got was working at a 3.2 nightclub. I was the assistant manager.
What is that, a 3 what?
3.2% alcohol beer.
Oh, yeah. When we were young, too, you could drink beer. When I was young, you could drink beer at 18.
18 to 21.
18 to 21. But the full bore, like hard liquor and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it changed where it was 21 for everything by the
Yeah.
time we were already past 21.
And the problem with that is, of course, it's nighttime, and that precludes you playing gigs. So that, I did that for not too long.
You were the manager, the bouncer?
I was the assistant manager.
Yeah. You scheduled the bartenders,
I'm definitely
servers.
not a bouncer. No, they had the CU football team guys were the bouncers.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Big guys.
Yeah, big guys.
But yeah, beautiful town, Boulder.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Every day, I swear, every day I was there, I thought, I can't believe I get to live in a place that's beautiful.
Oh, and Trusty Steed, I don't think he's in the room. I think he left and said it and forget it as Keith's in there, but he's from Colorado.
Yeah.
Grew up in Colorado. His parents live near Boulder now.
Yeah.
So you go from one sort of, the UP is not necessarily mountainous, but then you go and you end up in
Completely
another,
different place. Yeah.
but similar climate.
Yeah, except a lot milder. Because it's on the Front Range. You get, does it snow here? Yeah, we might get this much. And it's
Really?
melted by noon.
I always-
You drive 70 miles up to the ski resorts and you're
Okay.
in it.
Yeah. My ex was from Greeley, Colorado. But I
So
like
gateway.
Telluride. Did you ever end up in Telluride?
Yeah.
I loved it there.
Beautiful.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Cool music festival, cool people.
Yep.
I
No,
think Jackson Brown had a place there.
Eventually in Colorado, I mean, I hooked up with a bunch of different musicians and was gigging blues gigs and top 40 gigs, and occasionally there'd be somebody who's working on music and that you'd be in their band, but the band was rotating. You'd learn their songs.
A lot of music scene, though, I think there,
Yeah,
and
very-
even if it was like what we would call snowbirds, even if it was people from
Yeah.
L.A. or whatever that were going skiing or whatever, because like I said, I think Jackson Brown had a house in Telluride.
Yeah.
But
And
yes.
I'm playing in these bands, and one of them we played together quite a bit. Paul Soderman's blues band. He decided to do like a demo / record for marketing the band.
Was there a studio in Boulder,
Yes, Coop Studios, and we went there to do the demo.
like Chicken Coop?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
actually the first studio was a chicken coop, and then they changed it to COUPE like the car.
Oh, okay.
But so I'm there as the guitar player on the session, and of course, me being me, I'm like, hey, what's all that? I get involved in the thing. The studio owner, manager keeps coming in. So,
Was it a
so
24-track tape machine or a
yeah,
2-track?
It was, 24 track tape,
Oh,
a
okay.
Tascam machine.
Oh, okay.
I ended up working at that studio
Good.
because as I'm in there, I'm understanding how this, because I'm a geek.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm fascinated now. I'm at a point now where I've started reading liner notes. Like, hey, what's this stuff on the back? And you're like, wow, realizing that
That was
bread.
one of the coolest thing about albums.
Yeah.
And you, for me, I would see, like I was listening to a lot of the records from my older brothers.
Yeah.
Zeppelin, The Who, Kinks, stuff
Yep.
like that, a lot of British Invasion. But you'd look at the liner notes and you'd start to realize that a lot of the records you liked were produced by the same producer or recorded by the same
And you
engineer.
see these words like engineer. Like, what is that?
Yeah. You know, that was when you'd see the Glenn Johns and
Yeah.
the Andy Johns.
Yeah.
And then, of course, our beloved Ron Nevison, who
Yeah.
is my friend and, you know, ended up.
Yeah, that magic of this much artwork and all the stuff to read.
Yeah, you had room.
Yeah.
Liner notes. And then also on the sleeve, you'd have all kinds of credits and lyrics.
Yeah, and you see the names of these people that, you know, at the time I didn't realize that I'd be here and meet some of them. You know?
Well, and sort of the Wrecking Crew thing, too.
Oh my gosh!
You'd see.
You find out about the Wrecking Crew and you realize all these songs that you were inspired and moved by. It's the same set of people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's,
Oh my
Earl,
God.
it's Earl Palmer or it's Hal Blaine or it's Carol Kay or
Carol,
it's
yep.
Tommy Tedesco.
Yep.
You know, all the same players. And then, you know, it's interesting. I was going to tell you, I don't know, I'm sure you are aware, but I saw Andrew Senewick yesterday, who's a phenomenal
great
guitar
guitarist.
player. And there is
A new crew.
kind of, yeah. They don't call themselves that.
No, there have been
But I
several
see-
iterations. There was a
Yeah.
second one, Russ Kunkel and those guys. and
Yeah.
then there was the later one with it, Vinny and those
Yeah.
guys like Mike Thompson. and
Yeah.
there's always been
Yeah,
versions
yeah.
of
There's
a
always
Wrecking
like
Crew.
a group, and we're so there's great musicians everywhere. But if you're lucky enough to end up in LA playing with other great musicians, it's only going to make you better.
Yeah.
And you all become friends, and everybody's referring each other for gigs, and it's actually a pretty nice community, to be honest.
Yeah, I sort of parachuted into that world because of connecting with Patrick Leonard in Boulder.
Yeah. So Patrick Leonard, we got that big part of that part of your life. You know, when you're coming to LA, how did you hook up with Pat?
Oh,
Was
that's,
he in Boulder? Because isn't he also a Youper?
yeah, he is a Youper, strangely. He's from a town 30 miles away from the town that I lived in.
Did you guys? But you met somewhere
No.
else. Where did you
He-
meet?
he met in Boulder.
Oh, okay. Was he already sort of successful already?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he'd already done the big
Madonna.
Madonna hits and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He left L.A. and went to Colorado. You know, he started a little boutique record label and was doing stuff there, and then he got calls to come back and
Such
do.
an incredibly talented
Oh my God.
musician and producer.
Yeah, and that's been for me the luck of those kinds of connections. It's because of I was working at that studio that we did the
Did he
demo
come into
at.
Coop?
That was the only studio in town, and
Okay.
so he was at Caribou Ranch,
Oh, of
which was
course.
30 miles up in Nederland.
Yes.
And I met Pat because I had formed a connection with that studio. I went back and basically created a job by saying I'll be here if you need me, and you know, dub turns into a voiceover, turns into a do you know how to track, and then, you know, it's CU.
God bless
so
these
bands,
owners.
Bands form every year in Boulder.
Yeah, college towns are one of the greatest places to learn.
Absolutely, and they'll show up with, we got $5,000, we want to make a record. And there's a recording studio that you got to monetize the assets. So they're doing jingles during the day.
Yeah.
And then nighttime, 6 o'clock on until whatever the engineer's willing to go home, you're in there tracking and mixing on the weekends.
The thing about jingles is it teaches you to be fast.
You got to be fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And so in that world of that, and this is right when sequencing started early on, you know, I had my first sequencer was in a Commodore 64, just, you know, terrible. But you learn how to edit and how to make that technology work and
Commodore's a
synchronize
computer.
things. Yeah.
It's not a keyboard per se. It's
Sorry.
a computer. No, I don't know. You don't know what people know.
And multi-track recording and how to put stuff together, and you swim in that world. And then Pro Tools came along.
Wasn't it Sound Tools in the beginning?
It was Sound Tools at first.
Okay, let's just admit right here, right now, because we're not going to fight about this, because I think we agree on this. Early Pro Tools sucked.
Oh, it sounded terrible.
Sounded terrible.
Sounded awful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it was, and I wanted to bring this up earlier, and I meant to mention this earlier when you were talking about just being a geek and learning all these things. I've known you for a while, and I've never known you to let technology hamper you. And when I very first met you, and that's a beautiful thing about you being geeky, is you like technology and you like to harness technology and use it, but I never found that you were a slave to it.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who love music.
Yeah.
They don't love the technology enough to be able
To utilize
to use both worlds with the same love, and that I
Yeah,
think,
you're unique that way.
or strange that way. That once you understand that
Your
if
self-deprecation
you can get
is
this
charming.
technology to work better, that the art can be better, that the magic can
Oh
be
my
better.
God, that sentence needs to be. We need to plaster that across like the front of the building.
And you're constantly misunderstood by both sides of it. Oh, he knows a bunch of stuff, so he couldn't possibly be creative. Oh, he knows
He's a
about the
musician.
music, so he couldn't possibly know how to work the
Be
computer.
technical.
It's like, okay, well,
You're not alone. I mean, I've witnessed some wonderful people that we both know that are very technically adept, who are quite creative and good artists.
Yeah.
But Pat, very talented,
Oh my
great
gosh.
songwriter, great producer, great keyboard player.
Yeah.
But he needed a David.
well, that's the thing. Pat, where to begin in this? I met Pat because he wanted to do a session there, and he had booked the thing, and then he found out that his assistant at the time was out of the country, was in Brazil. And he said, well, I got this person coming, and I need somebody to come and engineer, but I need somebody who can recording engineer, knows how sequencers work, can work Pro Tools, knows how to get sounds.
Oh, Jesus.
And so he makes the calls around Boulder in the relatively small audio community there. And friend
More
of
than
mine
one
got-
person told him you.
my name came up. And
Yeah.
so I got the call and say, okay, sure. And went there. And the first day that I was there working with him, he says, can I talk to you? And he walks me outside. And he says, you want a job? So it was like the magic
Nice.
carpet came and found me.
Nice.
And to your point, Patrick is one of those people that I swear you could give him a foreign keyboard with a sequencer in it, hand it to him, plug it in, and say, here, figure this out. And 10 minutes later, something sounding like a record would be coming out of it.
So good.
He could just sit down and it would just come through him.
He's so amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. He, and I would love to get him on here.
And I
but
also worked with Walter Afanasieff,
I love
another
him.
one of those.
I love him. Although he is single-handedly responsible for the vocal gymnastics of Mariah Carey.
Yep.
But I do love him.
Yep.
Very talented. But the whole
But that ability, they're producers, but those guys,
They're
Patrick,
musicians.
they're musicians,
Yeah.
and they're also a word that's not used a lot. There are producers who produce. Producer means many different things.
Yes.
But those guys are also arrangers. They don't.
Oh, very important distinction.
We don't use that word anymore.
We do. Well,
Oh.
we do in your world.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're going to get to that, what David does now.
So there's a depth to their understanding of the music beyond just being great pianists.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
And you think I'd know the answer to this. What is the difference between an orchestrator and an arranger?
Well, an arranger is
Takes the parts and writes
all these
music.
all these lines.
An
blur.
arranger writes music.
All these lines blur.
Okay.
Because an orchestrator sometimes is also doing arrangement.
That's
An
what I
arranger
thought.
takes an already written piece of thing and comes up, well, what setting do you want it in? No, this has to be a big band thing. This needs to be a sensitive thing. We want that tune, and they'll do the arranging of how to what instruments
Best serve that music.
Yeah. And an orchestrator, if for the orchestra, it's also arranging, but sometimes they're also filling in the blanks in the composition. So they're kind of half composing and sometimes credited,
I always
sometimes
wondered.
not.
Well, see, now I don't feel so bad because it sounds like it blurs.
They all blur. That's how it is now, yeah.
So when you're working with Pat in Boulder, and he was already quite successful, as we'd mentioned.
Yeah, this was at Caribou Ranch. He
It's
had-
so talented. I wonder if that's where he met Elton John. I wonder.
No,
I don't know.
it wasn't, I can tell you.
Oh, okay. When did he kidnap you and bring you to Los Angeles?
Well, he got a call. He got a call from Michael Austin, who at the time was running DreamWorks
Oh, yeah.
Records, and said, "Pat, I've got some stuff I need you to do." And so he was lured back here, and he said, "Well, I'd understand if you don't want to go to LA, but if you're willing to move to LA, there's a job for you." And so I put all
Oh,
my
he said that. Oh, yeah,
yeah,
nice. Thanks.
put all my stuff in storage, packed up all his studio gear.
How
packed
did
up-
Katrina become part of this mix?
Well, I knew Katrina from there.
Oh, okay.
And she and I actually were in a band together. She played
Oh.
bass in a band that I was in.
Katrina's super smart, cool girl.
Super smart.
Who
She's the
worked
best.
in the
Katrina
team,
Seibert.
Team Leonard.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, she was the studio manager eventually.
Ah.
Yes. There's a tradition of great women being the studio managers.
You know, I was asking, I was talking to Rose the other day, Rose Mann, who I
Yeah.
hadn't talked to in a while, and I think we were trying to figure out like how it ended up being women, and I think in the 50s when things were kind of recording was sort of becoming a thing, and the Bill Putnams and
Yeah.
you know Les Paul and people were taking broadcast gear and manipulating it for recording.
Yeah.
The women were like the secretaries, and they were working in what was more of an office environment of the studio, and they would be doing the scheduling or running the staff. And so it was just sort of a natural transition that studio managers, almost all of them are women. And Eli and Steve Burdick, and you guys are listening to this, you're amazing. But a lot of them have been women. And I think it may have been a transition from that sort of secretarial office manager thing that transitioned into studio management. But it's been my privilege to do this job.
And it's been our
feel blessed.
privilege to have you doing it.
I don't know about that. But I'm glad, first of all, loved you since I met you, and I'm glad Pat got you here.
Yeah, me
And
too.
I think it made Pat's world easier.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, well, I would think he would say so.
Somebody like that needs the freedom to not have to deal with the stuff.
Yeah.
To just show up, sit down, and work.
And that is certainly most recording engineers' job, besides capturing it and making better audio, is to get out of the way.
To get out of the way.
Yeah, and let the artist.
You're the midwife sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Here you go, boom, here's a baby.
You're
But
you're not mom. You're the midwife.
I've said this several times that there's a vulnerability with artists and learning how to read the room. You got to being an assistant and being a first engineer is such a hard gig because you have to be very technically aware.
Yeah.
You obviously are artistic and creative, but you have to be able to read the room and be a good vibe. That's really important because you're in a room with people for 14 hours. But the artist comes in and the producer, someone like Pat Leonard, who's such a wonderful arranger, composer, songwriter, genius guy, musician. If he's working with an artist, they come in and they hand you their art, and it's like, here's my baby.
Yeah.
Don't kill the baby.
Yeah.
And there's a vulnerability there that you need to be sensitive to. And the producer's job is complicated. I think Pat falls into the category of the great producers where he instinctively elicits performance. He communicates with the artist in such a way to get them to do their best.
Yeah.
And
the job,
and that's a skill, boy.
And the part of being an engineer in that world, you have to be able to turn into furniture and know when to do it.
Yes.
You have to have great ideas, but make sure that other people think that
it's their idea.
ideas.
Yes.
You have to steer the thing away from the danger spots where technically
Protect them
you
against
guys
themselves.
are about to auger in, and
Yeah.
you have to do it without telling them what to do.
Yeah.
So there are a lot
It's
of
a lot of finesse.
it's a lot of finesse.
Yeah.
And it's done different ways. I mean, obviously, I'm more logical and dry, and people make fun of me for that. But that's my in with them. Is like if they can minimize that. I don't need to be gregarious and all that other stuff. In fact, that can be a problem.
Well, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Well, surprisingly, as gregarious as I am,
Yeah.
when my brother Steve, he took over a room at the old Kendon.
Yeah.
When he'd left the record plant, he'd gone to Rusk for a period of time as chief engineer, and he'd taken over a room at Kendon. Kendon was no longer, and the room was called Take One, and I came out, and I was a bartender. I had no intentions of getting into any of this.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens. Life just fucking gets a crowbar and pulls you in. But I was a bartender and I was working, and he tells a story that he came down to the bar that I was working at on La Brea, and he saw me multitasking. Well, first of all, he was teaching me how to be an assistant.
Yeah.
Because he needed help at the studio, and it was really just him and his wife. And we hired Makeja Ryan, who was the water delivery guy from Sparklets, who ended up being a great assistant, working on Guns N' Roses and doing a lot of records. Talented guy. Actually, he's from Kansas, not Colorado. Anyway, but I was extremely quiet and extremely conscious of the etiquette that your opinion doesn't matter, and the whole. I mean, I had been a bartender, and I had done the tail end of my bartending. I lived in Greenville, South Carolina. I left Charleston, went to Greenville, followed a boyfriend. Don't follow people. Just don't do it. Anyway, end up in Greenville, which is like moving from LA to Fontana. No offense to Fontana. I was born there, but it is a smaller town.
Yeah.
And it's counterintuitive to go from a more bustling town to a smaller town if you're trying to have a career. So I'm in Greenville, and I'm working for a catering company, and they would send me out to like Charlotte and all these other cities. And I would go into a hotel room and set up a bar. I'd wear a tuxedo, set up a bar, and I would stand there while businessmen would have a meeting.
Yeah.
And I'd be in a room with maybe, 3 to 5 people, and I'd be standing there like a statue. And they would come up and at their end of their meeting and have a drink or whatever. I made good money too. I made like $35 an hour and got to take them all the liquor. It was great. But that training, that hospitality training, made me a better studio manager, but that be in the room, be silent, but be of service. I wasn't a shitty assistant. I could run a tape machine. I probably couldn't align a tape machine now, and I was good. And then I was doing a session with, everybody knows the story. I've told it many times. I did a session with this guy, famous engineer. You may have worked with this guy. Did you ever work with Shel Talmy?
No.
He did the Kinks. He was blind. He just died about a year ago.
Wow.
Incredible guy. And I was doing a session. That room had a Trident 80B, and it was an Atari MTR 90 Mark II tape machine. Things you never forget. Your first tape machine. And an MCI. We had an MCI too. JH24. Anyway, but I was in the room. He'd never worked in the room. I don't remember who the band was. He was blind. And he's doing the session, and it's like that Ray Charles thing where I kept coming up to the console to help him, and he put his hand on my wrist, and I said, I have small wrists, but a big butt. But anyway, I was laughing. And he said, you don't need to help me. And I was like, well, but, you've never worked here before and you're blind. And he was laughing. And he said, no, I'm good. I got it. And it was a simple overdub. I don't remember what it was. So after that session, I went to my brother. Steve probably won't remember this, but I went to him and I said, I don't want to be an engineer. And he's like, why? You're doing fine and you're doing good. Why? What? And everybody was nice, by the way. Girls, it doesn't matter that you're a girl. You're an engineer. Okay, learn the job. Shut your hole and learn the job.
Just be good.
Yeah, just be good. But besides that, I found engineers to be incredibly forthcoming and want to teach and want to nurture and want to encourage an assistant and show you what they were doing and stuff like that. I mean, yes, they had their job to do and you were there to help them and be quiet. But oftentimes at the end of the night, they'd maybe give you constructive criticism about what you could have done better and show you some cool tricks. And I tell my staff now that when you're an assistant engineer, one of the things you do with every session that you work on, if you like if you admire what's happening in front of you, you sort of steal little tricks from everybody and incorporate them into your style.
Yep.
And your style is now the amalgamation of these different cool, we've been so fortunate to be around people like Jeff Emmerich, rest in peace, and these amazing, Andy Johns, who absolutely my favorite of all time. But the Shel Talmy thing, I said to Steve, I go, that guy's blind and he's amazing. And I had enough of an ego that if I wasn't going to be like amazing, I probably would have been fine. I probably could have kept going and been fine. Mm-hmm. But I said, but I think I can help you book it. And he needed help. And then he came in and saw me bartending because I was still bartending. And he said he saw me multitasking, like talking to everyone and remembering what they were drinking. Yeah. And he said, oh, she would be a good manager. And that was how, and because he'd worked at the record plant, right? And I'd come out and visit in high school. The people that you meet when you're coming up, if you're lucky, you're going to be working with them for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
And Mike Klink called. I saw Mike the other night. Mike, I love you so much. Mike Klink called and said to Steve, hey, you got a room now, and I got this band that I need to re-record the whole record, and we don't have any money. And it's always we don't have any money. You're my friend, and because I don't have any money. But yeah, love you, Mike. But yeah, I don't have any money. We got to re-record this record, and it was Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses. And Slash and I were laughing about this the other day, and he said, "You still don't like Guns N' Roses, do you?" And I go, "No, it's not my thing." And I was a couple years older. I was like 27, and Duff and such. And this is early on, and they were just wonderful, wonderful guys. But almost every day they'd come into my office, and I'd be listening to Roxy music. I was listening to Brian Eno and shit like that. Like I musically, I think I have diverse taste, but it wasn't my thing. The hair bands of the Sunset Strip. Now, they are amongst one of the better bands that came out of that time frame. And good musicians, without question. Yeah. But not my thing. Yeah, it wasn't my thing.
I understand.
Yeah. So, let's talk about you more. Sorry, I digress. So, you're out here with Pat.
Yeah.
You're putting everything together. Now, you were clients of mine here, but was Johnny Yuma
Yeah, he had... One of the first things I had to do was find a space and set up the gear that I brought out here for a writing room for him. And
how did you do that? How did you find that spot?
Oh my God, I don't even know when I think about it now.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to LA and I had a Thomas guide and a rental car, and I had to figure it all out. And for those who don't know what a Thomas guide is.
Because you're all grows up. Thomas guide was a map book.
This is the thing about being in bands when you're in junior high and high school. It's like, well, we got to get to the gig, and so how do you do that? You figure it out.
Well, could we just like translate that to everyone under 30 that
Well-
we meet? Let's just figure it out.
Yeah. I looked around. There was Michel Colombier had a writing room, and so I'd heard, I don't know, I was just asking around music stores and everything else. Oh well, Michel wants to move out of his place, and so I went over and looked, and it was this an industrial building kind of over by where Universal is now, and the MTV just a block away from there, on Colorado, and it was suitable. It was a long shotgun kind of
Santa
thing.
Monica, though, didn't anyone tell you Santa Monica was far?
Well, Pat was living on the west side then.
Of course.
He was over by UCLA, and so it was near for him.
So it was Westwood.
Yeah.
Westwood.
And so I
Brentwood.
got an apartment close to the Village Recorders there over on
Oh,
Butler.
wow.
So that was kind of our neck of the woods. But that's where I set up all the MIDI gear and hauled his piano out from
What
Colorado.
kind of piano did Pat have?
Well, at first it was the Yamaha C7, but then his Steinway, I went back for
That's
that.
what's in this.
I brought two pianos of his to here in U-Haul rentals. I learned how to move pianos.
You take the legs off,
Oh yeah.
put it on its side,
Yeah. Well, you got to get
gently.
Yeah, you get the crew to do that, but if you got the spine board and the blankets, never mind. I
You
set
know,
up his-
pianos are harps laying in a wooden box.
That's right. So set up a writing room with his piano, mics on it all the time. He had a Euphonics console set up in the middle where the mix room was, the credenza with all of his gear, and then a lounge. So there was lounge, mix area, writing room at the back in this long
This
thing.
sounds super cool, actually.
Yeah, and so you learn to. This is very similar to where I ended up in film production, because you write. The composer works with the director, and they develop the score. They spot where the stuff is, and they make demos, or they do a mock-up with
Yep.
samples and et cetera.
They use East West sounds.
Yes, and then once that's done, they then book the orchestra and the orchestrators and et cetera, and they go and do the real thing to either replace or enhance it. But all of that stuff is done to a layback, where the stuff is written, and a bunch of these tracks go into the machine, whether it was multi-track recorder, eventually Pro Tools. But that's how you go, and you're recording Guns N' Roses, they play in the room and it's recorded in the multi-track, and that's that.
Yeah.
But when you're working with somebody who's an arranger like Pat or Walter Afanasieff, they're putting together at this time, now it's loop-based music or programmed drums, and they're playing demo bass parts that'll be replaced by some great player. You know, you hire Paul Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
or Jimmy Johnson or somebody
Yeah.
to come in and play. And the drum parts, let's get Vinny to come in and play on this. Let's get, Kenny Aronoff to play on
But
this.
the ideas for all those different instruments and for the composition are coming from Pat.
And it's then printed into, at that time, he had a Studer 827, loved that machine, but then radars, and then
Oh,
Pro
God.
Tools.
Remember all the different
And I had
shit
to
that we
learn,
had?
that was the other thing technically, is I had to learn how to get all those machines to sync to each other.
Which-
How to fly things out of it into Pro Tools,
So
edits and fly
Lynx's-
it back.
Lynx's, whatever
Yes.
other
The
Q, what was
MFC
it,
24.
Q-Lock, or what
Yeah,
was that
they're
other
just
fucking thing?
all of the
Whatever.
crazy.
And by the way, fuck those things. It's easier now, is it not?
It's much easier now.
Yeah.
Because the computers are powerful enough, you can do it all in one machine. I mean, we were doing films at 2 sample rates, so I was always syncing multiple Pro Tools rigs to edit and multiple Pro Tools rigs for the mix,
What a
and
nightmare.
as many as 5 sometimes for picture playback.
And you can't slow things down
No.
when the person's creating.
No, but that you'd show up at a recording studio with a layback of all the tracks that had been arranged by Patrick, or that were recorded to, and we'll shut off the fake drums and we'll put in the real ones. That's very much what a film score is, where there's a bunch that gets kept and goes into the final thing.
Yeah.
Because it was during the time that I got out here. I was working in Pro Tools in Colorado, Sound Tools, and then Pro Tools
Yeah.
and in
You
LA.
inspired me to buy the first rig for cello.
Yeah, because when I got here, because the tape machine sounded much better,
Just
and
saying.
these studios had third shift tech staff.
Yeah.
They always sounded good.
Yeah.
They were always maintained. Why would you bother to learn
And the
Pro Tools?
Ampex multi-track machine, by far, just
Yeah.
even
Oh,
with the
absolutely.
delay,
Absolutely.
what a great sounding machine.
Pain in the ass to punch in, but
Yeah.
once you're in, it's glorious.
Yeah.
But I got here, going back to Colorado, they set up a B room and they couldn't afford another 24 track. And the audio sales guy said, there's this new thing you can record in a computer in these new bus Macintoshes. You should try that. So I was forced to learn how to work in that machine. And now I'm recording bands in that are got together at CU, in Colorado, learning how to do that kind of stuff long before anybody here was doing it.
Right.
Then I go to work with Patrick, who's in Logic, working inside a computer, and the two just sort of married. And then I'm carried here to LA, and I'm planted in this room and rooms like this with Pat, where you guys are still in tape and nobody knows how to do it. And I've been struggling figuring it out on how to get machines to sync for 3 years.
Well,
before I got here.
you work with my tech staff, and I think everybody was like glad you were here. Gary Meyerberg,
Yeah, because
Dave
I'd
Heck.
made all the mistakes.
Well, but I think you all helped each other. I
Yeah.
think we were like, well, everybody's mindset, and I think that this is another gift, is like, well, let's figure it out.
Yeah, that's
because we need to figure it out because Pat needs to do his thing.
And it was also at a point in time where there were producers coming up who just worked alone in their machine.
Yeah.
And so Pro Tools, once Pro Tools started to have enough of a
Traction,
there's a MIDI capability. It was terrible at first, and then they fixed it.
Yeah.
And so people would migrate from one platform to the other. But the people like Danny Serapine, people like that, they would be working alone in their machine. And that's a very different thing than what I was doing with Pat. The glory of working on those sessions was I got to meet all the top.
Musicians.
Pat's Pat. So, hey, let's get Vinny to play drums.
Yeah.
Let's get Jimmy Johnson. Let's
Yeah.
get Tim Pierce. Let's
Yeah.
get, Dean Parks.
I saw Tim recently, the Baked Potato. I went to see Rafael Moreira, who's a great Brazilian,
Yeah.
incredible guitar player, a good friend of mine. And Tim Pierce was sitting behind me. And I said, oh, Tim. And he goes, Candace, I don't play anymore. And I went, he goes, he doesn't do sessions anymore at all. He teaches. He has a cool online course
Yeah,
that he teaches.
he's huge.
But he doesn't play. And I'm just going to say, Tim, bummer, dude, that you're not playing anymore because you're fucking rad.
Yeah,
Anyway.
he's great.
He's amazing. And he's super nice.
Yeah, he's the sweetest man.
Yeah. The other thing, well, this just illustrates, again, technology is here to help.
Yep.
And so you're doing all these sessions. I was blessed to have you here, and I came here in 98, I think, by the end of 98. I think I met you in early 2000. And it was a time when this studio was cello, like you were saying, you were telling a story earlier, and I want you to retell that story, is that, you didn't have time. We're not particularly starstruck anyway, because you're
No.
so busy doing your job that you need to get shit done. But it was fun. It
Oh,
was
my gosh.
fun that
Yeah.
there was, and Rick Rubin had this room a lot. And Pat was one of the first people, not first people, but he really loved Studio 3, and I love Studio 3. It's the smallest tracking room here. We call it the Pet Sounds room now. But Pat knew how to use all these rooms because of you and because of he realized what would
and
suit.
all the engineers that I worked with, in working with Pat, I got to work with Ross Hogarth and Kevin Killen.
Jim Scott.
Yeah, Jim Scott, Dan Marnian,
Kevin Killen, love
Bill Bottrell.
to the KK.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounded weird. Anyway, love to Kevin Killen.
He's the best.
It's amazing. I think he's in New York.
Yeah, I ran into him out there when I was working on West Side Story.
Well, we got to get to that. We got to wrap. We got some more time. We're going to keep going with David. We're not going anywhere because this is getting too good. But
I like hearing your stories.
what I don't normally intersperse them that much. You're inspiring.
Good.
But
people need to know of these things about you. Let me just interject and hijack your podcast. That I was thinking about that. You, Paula, Rose, that important thing of
Den
these
Mother.
rooms. They don't not only sound good. This is the sanctuary. You come here
Yeah.
to do this, and the feeling that there's somebody watching out for you. And it's I don't know if it's just purely the motherly thing or that there's a female whatever, but it really does feel like that's been an important part of that awareness that this is, let's keep the magic in there. Let's make sure those people are safe and taken care of. And
Aw.
that's what you guys have always
Well,
done.
thank you so much. Yeah, it's again a privilege and an honor. But I was, I don't know. It all worked out.
Yeah.
Somehow my gregariousness and all the things came into play. But it's a trust thing.
Yeah.
It's all the cogs in the wheel.
Yeah.
It's the assistant trusting the runner. It's you as an engineer trusting the assistant. And it's the clients trusting that, okay, if Candace is the manager there, she's got my back.
Yeah,
She's
exactly.
She's
It's
going to
that.
do her best. Things go wrong and gear breaks and things happen.
Yeah.
And a lot, we didn't talk about that, but that's another part of Dave's job, my job, the job, is to keep the momentum of the session going and not letting whatever technological mishaps happen stop that flow. So sometimes shit breaks, you know, you got to take a break, you got to fix it. But at the end of the day, it's how you keep rolling and how you keep the vibe going. Even if you say, you know what, we got to stop and we got to fix this. You know, if you
Yeah.
got to give me 10 minutes, you got to give me a half hour.
Stuff goes wrong.
Yeah, stuff happens, you know, and it's, you know, nothing is perfect, and you know, except for music, basically.
Yeah.
But well, thank you for saying that. You're working with Pat. You're here. You
Yeah.
got the Johnny Yuma thing.
Yep.
How did you guys? I can't remember the first time you came here or why you came here, and then Pat ended up sort of. We called it Studio 7 then.
Yeah.
But you had Johnny Yuma at the same time. Did Pat move to Hollywood or the Hills or something?
I'm not.
I don't remember why he came here. I don't remember the first thing. It might have been Madonna. I don't remember the first thing he did.
I know
here.
that he worked with Madonna in that. Yeah, that was. I
Yeah.
think that was the first thing he did here.
Yeah, yeah. I remember walking out of my office and seeing her sitting on a road case.
I think he just liked the proximity to.
Other players and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It's more magical here than it is in an industrial building in Santa Monica.
Well, thankfully, one of the things that is so special about this place is that it's got such history. You
Yeah.
know, someone laughed one day. I was telling them about Sinatra in Studio One. They go, "Well, were you here then?" I'm like, "No, I was, I was one." You know what I mean? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, I'd be 100. But one of the things that I was talking to my assistant Keith, who's recording this, he's amazing. Is that we're still currently relevant. We're
Yeah.
still doing sessions every day. This has been a working recording studio since 1960.
Yeah.
And God willing, will continue to be one for some time, even after I retire. So you're working with Pat. You set up Johnny Yuma. You're living by the Village, okay? And you're basically, you are the original integrator. That's what I remember about you. Integrating Pro Tools, analog,
Yeah,
digital.
that's fair.
All those things.
Because I was forced to in Colorado. That's what you had to do. Learning to get a VHS. You're doing car commercials and you're working to VHS and you need to sync with time codes.
Dude, weren't we using, we were using ADATs, and
Oh
then
my
there was
God.
the Gen X thing.
Tascam, D88s.
D88s,
and
yeah,
the radar hard disk
D88s.
recorders. And it
Where
was-
are all those tapes now? Sitting on a shelf, not playing back. Okay.
and then that transitions into a world where you're recording and
Remember
all
the
of these-
drive, the early LTOs we
Oh
were
my
using
God.
for backup?
Stupid expensive.
Crazy. And very limited capacity.
But because Pro Tools, then you could edit things, and that became.
This is a blessing and a curse, I'm telling you.
It's yes, exactly. But because you can take stuff out of the machine, put it in Pro Tools, and then put it back, you've got to learn how to sync everything because it doesn't go back right where it came from.
And there's
without
latency.
paying
There's
attention.
always been latency, if you're
Well,
wondering.
that's a whole other story, and I'm not going to get into that. But I learned how to work around all that, how to sync, 3348s, the two
That's
Pro
a digital
Tools,
tape machine.
two radar, two analog.
Oh, God.
Sometimes you'd have to have all those things running, and that
Time code being the connector.
and the whole point in getting it to run synchronously rather than just simultaneously is if you press the space bar or the start button and they're not together, you don't have music. You had a bunch of sounds that are uncorrelated.
Yeah.
And so the other thing of being on sessions where you're working with the best session players, you get a sense of where the music feels right. And it's tape, it goes down, it comes back every time you play. Not true in digital. You got to be paying attention. And then if you love the music, here's the opportunity to grab all the elements and kind of move stuff around to get a little bit more magic in there. And that's
You're editing on the fly, or you're.
that whole thing of
What were we calling it
comping
earlier? We
vocals,
were calling
comping-
it. We were calling it enhancing earlier. What were
Well,
we calling it?
It's all of that.
Yeah.
But
So-
the job is to make the music the best it can be.
Absolutely. That is the sole job. Your job is to make better audio. So you're working with Pat. Now, when did and I don't know if I told you, he sent me a copy of his new record. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Like last year. But when did you move out of working with, just doing straight records and started getting more into film? When did that happen?
Well, the film thing, and this is one of those things that there's nothing to learn here because it was just like the magic carpet of Pat saying, "Hey, do you want a job?" I was on my way here actually, working on the Jewel record at the time.
Oh, I remember
and Ross
that.
was tracking. I think Kevin was mixing. I can't remember how the thing went.
I
down.
remember
There's a whole bunch
that.
of people involved, and I was driving here down Sunset. This is when there's I think the Marlboro guy was still up there at that time, and the next billboard along was the early Mac, the first iMacs, the little green
Yeah.
and white wedge shaped thing that says "Rip, Mix, Burn." and Napster is a thing, right? And I'm driving down Sunset on my way here, and we had an incident where there was a rough mix from Jules Record, which had not been. It's still 4 months in the future before Atlantic releases this.
It leaked on the
Leaked.
internet
Yeah.
from us.
No.
Oh, shit.
No.
That was a concern, by the way.
And Atlantic took care of that quickly.
Yeah.
And I thought, all of the confluence of stuff and the Rip Mix Burn, I thought, this is going to get
Ugly. Yeah, seriously.
So I thought, well, okay, I've played double bass in orchestra. I've played trumpet in wind ensemble. I've sung in choirs. I played jazz in jazz ensembles. I played in rock bands. I have this breadth of musical knowledge. I can read a manuscript. I can read the score. I know how to work Pro Tools. And I'd heard of what was happening. Film scoring at that point had become record production on an epic scale.
Yes.
Because Pro Tools had now been adopted. It was sounded good enough that it could be used for that.
For scoring, yeah.
And it was transitioning into that at a time when my expertise of getting the stuff to stick together was valued in that world, as well as my editorial skill.
And all those connections like Walter Afanasieff and Pat. Did
Yeah.
Pat ever do any film work?
We did a couple of string dates, but not any film. He did do film work that I wasn't involved in.
Oh, okay.
But a couple of string dates, and that was my first exposure to that at the Sony stage. Like,
Oh,
so
that's
this is
amazing.
interesting. The soup of things coming together, it was all just sort of accidental. But I was driving down Sunset, and I thought, I wonder what I need to do. I wonder if I could get into film, because they're going to have,
Problems with records.
well, film is going to have seats and butts paying to see, and there's orchestras. That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
So I had Eric Swanson, who came here to be my assistant, was now working. I heard he had been working on film things. And I said, I'll just give him a call. I called him up and I said, hey, Eric, I was going to say, what do you have to do to, do you have any idea how to, he said, I can't talk right now. And he hangs up on me.
What the fuck?
I was like, wow, that was strange.
He was in a
Calls
session, though.
He calls me half an hour later. He says, what are you doing right now? I said, nothing. He said, put your Pro Tools rig in your car and come over to the record plant. And I went to the record plant, and I had actually met John Powell before that, but I went to work on The Italian Job with John
What a
Powell.
great movie.
And
I've got the DVD in my living room. I'm going to go home and listen
and
to that score.
I'd been working on pop records and comping.
Wait, who
both-
was the composer?
John Powell.
Okay, John Powell.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and Alan Meyerson was mixing this thing, and this is at a time when John was he would do triple sessions with Mike Fisher doing percussion, and there'd be like layers and layers and layers of percussion that all had to be edited together because of his intense expectation of groove. And so you take the skills you learn comping drums and editing drums and comping vocals, like, well, here's this task.
Oh, wow.
And now it turns into getting the machines to sync and the rhythm, and now the orchestra has to be edited.
So that day, Eric calling you back and you showing up
Get
there.
over here now, and that was it.
Nice.
I made one phone call. That's how you get into film scoring. You make one phone call.
Yeah, just make one phone call. It's going to be great. It's all going to work out. You're going to be working with John Powell.
Yeah.
It's going to be fucking rad.
Yeah.
But this actually makes such total sense. What if you would have an affinity for that because of all your musical background and everything else. And I'm just saying, in
And
my
again,
opinion,
in addition to that,
Yeah.
it's being in the room where the magic's happening, and now it's a whole orchestra. And the composers that I work with at that time, not everybody could command the budget for a large orchestra, but John did. I worked with James Newton Howard and Danny Elfman and Michael Dana and Hans on a couple of things. They are the people who would have an 80-piece orchestra. And man, you go to work and there's an orchestra playing. It doesn't get better than that.
Studio One here, I can do up to 70 pieces, but last night I was at the Society of Composers and Lyricists there, speaking of, and I saw I saw so many composers there, but also Jeff Russo, who I love, who's a super talented cat, who's a client, and I was thinking about that, and I've stood outside of Studio One, I had the good fortune to be in the control room, and you're absolutely right. It is the hair stands up on the back of your neck and your heart soars when you hear a full orchestra in a room like that.
Yeah. And if you're invited to be involved in making that better, I mean, my job, it all comes down to a funnel basically on my desk where I assemble what gets sent on to the mixer. So I go through and I choose the best bits.
Stems.
You go from the master, their take their select takes, and then you go through, well, this can be better, and I can move this, and then that's what gets mixed. That reaching inside before it gets turned into a mix so that you can make it better is such a privilege. When it's great music, there's nothing better.
Is it called Mix Assist? What is it called? What is the?
Well, I made up there was no title.
Yeah,
for
what
that
is the title? What's the name of what you do?
In post-production, there are music editors, and I'm editing music, but I'm not a music editor. Because the music editor takes the mixes and they cut them to picture. And there's some crossover now in the production side. I say production side before it's actually a mix, when the music is being assembled.
Right.
That to me
That's
is
still production.
That's where the magic is. And post-production is the thing later. And so I made up the title scoring editor. And then later on, they objected to the use of the word editor, so I can't do that anymore. But I've been called everything from like digital assistant and scoring consultant, additional engineering, and essentially you're comping orchestras and making it better before it gets mixed.
We could have another part 2 with David, but we've kind of, we glossed over so many things because you can't really talk about a person's whole life in an hour. But you're doing what you love.
Yeah.
You're still doing it. You're still making a living doing it. Yes.
It's harder and harder now.
Yeah, it gets harder. They say that film is in its Napster moment, which I hope goes away, but that's more about buyouts and things like that.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, that's more about buyouts and stuff like that. But God willing, people are always going to want, play music, and there's always going to need to be somebody to capture it, which would be the recording engineer. I think we'd agree they're the unsung heroes of everything.
Yeah, and there's all the logistics of production. That there's a particular skill set.
We're glossing over the tail end because we're going to do a part 2. But this.
I was happy to hear all your stories. Thank you for those.
Oh, that's lame, but thank you. I think that it's important that people don't pigeonhole themselves and go. A lot of kids now will come up to me and they go, "I'm going to be a producer." Well, to you and I. Yes, a producer does many things, but a producer isn't necessarily someone who writes beats, No. And I have to remind people, I'm like, look, you think you're going to be in this place where you're not answering to anyone. That is never going to occur.
Not going to happen.
Not if you're working. if you're unemployed, that's fine. But you are always subordinate to the music.
Always.
Yeah. And the hierarchy, whether it's the assistant engineer, the first engineer, the editor, and there is a hierarchy, for sure.
Yeah.
In a control room, there's a freaking hierarchy, and you can best believe it. You'll know what it is. But no one, we have nothing if musicians don't create music. We have no job. But no one will ever hear their music if we don't capture it. So, God bless you for learning for not taking you are an artist, and you took all that different ability that you have as a musician and as an artist, and you use it to make music better for movies and TV. Yeah, that is a thank you.
Oh, well,
seriously, thank you. And now I'm going to go home and watch The Italian Job and listen. I think that's one of the I don't want to say curses, but that's one of the things that happens. And I'm obviously not an engineer. I'm a layperson. But I now, when I go into a movie theater, it's very conscious of the sound. And Atmos, immersive, all those things are great. And it's wonderful, enhancing the experience of seeing a film. I still like to watch movies in a theater. Yeah. But I find myself, I tend to focus on the audio. I tend to focus on the music.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
It's exciting when you realize it's something that maybe you had some small hand in.
Absolutely.
Or some part of.
Absolutely.
But then it's also like, wait, where did they do that? That sounds like crap. Well, I won't leave on that note. I will leave on the note of thanking David for talking. And if you listen to this podcast, hopefully you'll get that just keep being better. Just keep striving to improve your knowledge, both technically and creatively, and try to be supportive to music in any way that you can, whatever that job is. You're a live sound guy, you're doing whatever, but don't think you know everything, okay? Because you don't. And that's the end of this.